Welcome to Buzz Around the Globe. How was such a shocking attack allowed to be executed by the Israelis, who are considered to be the best at intelligence operations? This is the question on everyone's lips. The answer is that they were lulled into a sense of calm by a careful campaign of deception. It ensured that Israel was caught off guard when the Palestinian Islamist group Hamas launched its devastating attack, enabling a force using bulldozers, hang gliders and motorbikes to take on the Middle East's most powerful army. Saturday's assault, the worst breach in Israel's defenses since Arab armies waged war in 1973, followed 2 years of subterfuge by Hamas that involved keeping its military plans under wraps and convincing Israel it did not want to fight. While Israel was led to believe it was containing a war-weary Hamas by providing economic incentives to Gazan workers, the group's fighters were being trained and drilled, often in plain sight according to reports. According to a report by Reuters, Hamas gave Israel the impression that it was not ready for a fight, said a source close to Hamas, describing plans for the most startling assault since the Yom Kippur War 50 years ago, when Egypt and Syria surprised Israel and made it fight for its survival. Reuters said that the source added that Hamas used an unprecedented intelligence tactic to mislead Israel over the last months, by giving a public impression that it was not willing to go into a fight or confrontation with Israel while preparing for this massive operation. Israel concedes it was caught off guard by an attack timed to coincide with the Jewish Sabbath and a religious holiday. Hamas fighters stormed into Israeli towns, killing 700 Israelis and abducting dozens. Israel has killed more than 400 Palestinians in its retaliation on Gaza since then. In one of the most striking elements of their preparations, Hamas constructed a mock Israeli settlement in Gaza where they practiced a military landing and trained to storm it, the source close to Hamas said, adding they even made videos of the maneuvers. Meanwhile, Hamas sought to convince Israel it cared more about ensuring that workers in Gaza, a narrow strip of land with more than 2 million residents, had access to jobs across the border and had no interest in starting a new war. Since a 2021 war with Hamas, Israel has sought to provide a basic level of economic stability in Gaza by offering incentives including thousands of permits so Gazans can work in Israel or the West Bank, where salaries in construction, agriculture or service jobs can be 10 times the level of pay in Gaza. As part of its subterfuge in the past 2 years, Hamas refrained from military operations against Israel, even as another Gaza-based Islamist armed group known as Islamic Jihad launched a series of its own assaults or rocket attacks. The restraint shown by Hamas drew public criticism from some supporters, again aimed at building an impression that Hamas had economic concerns, not a new war on its mind. At the same time, Israel turned its focus away from Hamas as it pushed for a deal to normalize relations with Saudi Arabia. Israel has long prided itself on its ability to infiltrate and monitor Islamist groups. As a consequence, the source close to Hamas said, a crucial part of the plan was to avoid leaks. Many Hamas leaders were unaware of the plans, and while training, the 1,000 fighters deployed in the assault had no inkling of the exact purpose of the exercises. Meanwhile, Israel retaliated. The military announced the deployment of tens of thousands of troops around Gaza, a slender stretch of territory inhabited by 2.3 million Palestinians, and had initiated the evacuation of Israeli residents residing near the border. Israeli airstrikes hit residential complexes, tunnels, a mosque, and the residences of Hamas officials in Gaza, resulting in the deaths of over 400 individuals, including 20 children. These actions were carried out in line with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's promise of a forceful retaliation. Israeli forces stated that they had re-established control over the majority of the breach points along security barriers, resulting in the deaths of hundreds of attackers and the capture of dozens more. Do tell us what you think about this video in comments section, and for more news updates, subscribe to India Today.